Morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, May 24th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card, we are starting our day off with today, and I love to see this card and it's upright. You know why I love to see this card and it's upright? Because we pulled the same card yesterday in its reversal. We've got here our Page of Swords in its upright. What is this Sag moon bringing? Confidence. Confidence, confidence, confidence. We recognized and identified one of the things that the best way I was describing a lot of this energy right now, if we're looking at it, a lot of that Taurus season felt more like that sense of building momentum, like climbing up that hill, if you will, right? Doing that heavy work based on the determination. This Gemini energy with a combination of the Sagittarian full moon, boom, just like that sweeping down. But that's that path work. It doesn't feel like a lot of rash action. It feels like things are amping up based on a lot of the energetic determination of the path work that you may have set yourself on during that Taurus season cycle. It is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy deep in the heart of the divine union frequency, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What did we see that was happening with a lot of this internal path work, a lot of this introspection, a lot of this unpacking something from the deep past, but being able to carry it in a different way due to one's own shift of present perception? That is that moment that is amplifying the renewed vigor, the renewed confidence. That's almost giving you that like energy surge in feeling revitalized and re-encouraged on your own journey. Because that's that moment that it feels like it's not just that work that you're doing in the present that is reinvigorating your own path work and your own path of determination, but that is that moment of validation on the path work. If you're having a breakthrough in something that you were carrying from the past, it almost feels like it's something that's inadvertent. It's almost feeling like something that you didn't necessarily energetically set yourself on that course of doing, but is coming as a point of like a bonus or an amplification on how vital and necessary that work that you're navigating forward is right now, because it's something that feels like it is affecting your own healing journey, even in the sake of just trying to come into a better understanding and version of one's own self. And while we see right now, I'm going to reinforce this, while a lot of this energy doesn't feel like they're doing this for the sake of the counterpart, it is the ability to see counterpart energy that is near you or in proximity to you, that is simultaneously on that same journey for their own selves, that is amplifying and reinvigorating the investment and commitment on that path we're going forward. Same exact energy signature that we're seeing right now for a lot of the energy coming into divine union. Because while we saw that over that Taurus season, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, it was a lot harder. I'm just going to be a little bit more honest here. While we saw that some of that was happening more in a space of introspection for the energy deep in the heart of the divine union, this was a lot more of a challenging time over the last few weeks for the energy coming into the divine union frequency, specifically because it was that layer cake of coming to see and recognize and understand the counterpart in a deeper way, potentially seeing those insecurities, seeing those wounds, and then integrating those into your own self. Do we see that these are energies that are reactive? Do we see that these are energies that effectively take another person's insecurities personally? No, these are energies that are feeling re-encouraged, re-validated, and it's being articulated by that moment of almost looking towards the counterpart and saying, even in your vulnerability, there is nothing there I do not see. In fact, a lot of this energy right now is almost reinvesting in their own energetic pathwork by helping show the counterpart that they may be carrying an insecurity or wound within them that wasn't necessarily theirs to begin with, right? And that sense of excitement, that sense of energy, that ability to put forth in a way to be able to enact that change, that is the energy that's almost building that tie that binds even in some of these difficult circumstances or situations, because these are energies that are also feeling that sense of feeling the prioritization energetically of what they're feeling pulled toward is the counterpart. And that ability to do so is the implementation and enacting of changes to facilitate a better connection in the tangible space. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, This is that amplification point. The difficulty here is for a lot of the energy in separation, if these are new energetic connections that we're forming, the ability to perceive the difference as to whether it feels like someone is halfway healed versus having that ability of being able to really articulate on what that manifestation goal is the articulation right now between the energy that is staying more invested in continuing to build forth on new energetic connections versus energy that may be severing those connections. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is this was that summit. This was that point of interpretation that we were identifying that may be feeling it's being amplified right now with the Sagittarius new moon energy into activation. If these were energies that were starting to build that energetic connection during Taurus season, feeling that momentum, potentially even feeling that momentum that was building or occurring due to being able to observe the past and feeling that similarity in mutual lessons that were taken from individuated past experiences, the ability to amplify whether the lessons are ready to be brought forth by articulating as to whether someone is ready to manifest and speak about what they want moving forward. Articulating and recognizing that these are not energies that are seeking a commitment offer through that because they just energetically started to do this, but almost seeing that ability in the other to not only hold space, to be observant and holding on to the past in a way that feels like it is effective. How do we articulate that we are not caught in the past, but rather we are ready to move forward, that we are seeking closure instead of holding on to something? That comes from our ability to speak forward in relationality to what we want. Feminine energy is recognizing this to a large degree, which is why feminine energy is almost holding this as an energetic standard. One of the lessons that we see that a lot of the feminine energy is navigating forward with in separation is the recognition point that the masculine energy's ability to articulate as it relates to what they want in the future is not an accomplishment. It is not an accomplishment. It is not an accomplishment that the feminine feels that they need to achieve in building a connection with the masculine. Rather, it is a requirement in order to facilitate the possibility as to whether a connection can be inquired upon or potentially pursued. That is a lot of the feminine energy identifying the difference, that holding the boundary that was crossed in the past and turning that into an energetic standard, which is why we see that a lot of the feminine energy isn't trying to pursue the why. If a masculine isn't bringing this forth, if it is being inquired upon, they are just observing whether the masculine has an ability to articulate upon that. And that is what is serving as that balancing point in the feminine to identify and articulate whether they feel like that is masculine energy that they are encountering that is ready to move forward, that has the ability of holding on to the past in so much as it builds that sense of clarity on what they're doing to change in terms of their manifestation goals going forward, versus potentially seeing a masculine that is showing a reluctance or resistance to let go of something that is being amplified by a lot of deep introspection of the past that isn't being mitigated by an ability to utilize it in a productive way in terms of articulating what the manifestation goal in the future is. For masculine energy, this is maybe potentially, if you're masculine energy experiencing this right now, this is going to feel more like a leap of courage, because we see that a lot of the masculine energy on the healing journey, a lot of your work has almost been leading up to this. A lot of that work, especially if these were situations or circumstances wherein you came into separation specifically due to the fact that you felt like something that you articulated accidentally or inadvertently, building a world of illusion around feminine that created the moment of having to move out into separation, because of the pain that was experienced or seen in what occurs in those points of connectivity when we realize that we've created something around the feminine that doesn't feel like it is authentic. This is masculine energy that's trying to find the energetic courage by recognizing that by speaking authentically to the feminine, that is the best way that the masculine protects the feminine from anything that may experience or be seen as a deeper hurt in the future. This is a lot of the masculine energy building up that sense of energetic courage to do so. This is being further amplified by that moment of the masculine recognizing that when the feminine doesn't see a masculine that has that ability to speak freely upon what they desire and dream, that creates a vulnerability or anxiety in the feminine, that is amplified by a masculine that is not articulating those things because they recognize that the feminine would not desire the same manifestation goal. This is further amplifying that sense of energetic courage and that building up of courage in the masculine to be able to be vulnerable. So the courage to be vulnerable, that steel to silk approach that we've been seeing, that the masculine that's in the healing journey has been working on, that feels more like an accomplishment of their own self by coming into a heightened degree of authenticity and integrity in the process. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, what did we say? We've got our Lovers card out, fast and furious. That's a lot of that expression of the Gemini energy. What is the Gemini energy bringing out right now for a lot of the energy in separation? It's a binary. It's a binary. A lot of yes or no. It's a yes or no. And that's what we're even seeing right now with the feminine energy. This is what we mean when we see that there's feminine energy right now in separation. They're just looking. They're not trying to generate it in the masculine. They're not trying to inspire the masculine. They're not saying, if I work with this masculine and I try really hard, I'm going to achieve the masculine being able to tell me what they dream. This is the feminine energy saying it's either there or it's not. It's either there or it's not. It's like stamp it or not stamp it. No or yes. Yes or no. No or yes. Yes or no. This is just the feminine energy saying it's not the feminine energy's job at this point. This is the feminine energy holding to the lessons of the previous cycles and saying it's not the feminine energy's job to try to investigate or understand why the masculine may not necessarily be able to do that in that capacity. It's just the feminine energy's job to observe whether it is there, to stick that stamp on it, next, move on, because that is the sense of the feminine energy recognizing and identifying the fact that the feminine energy has gone through this journey of recognizing that not all masculine energy wants divine union. Not all masculine energy wants divine union, and not all masculine energy is ready for divine union. The feminine energy is almost recognizing that the ability to build forth with masculine requires a masculine energy that has built enough integrity and energetic courage that they're able to express to the feminine what it is that they want, that they're able to openly, authentically articulate to the feminine what those manifestations goals are. Because how can something be created if there isn't that ability to, again, what do we see that the energy deeper coming into divine union is doing right now? They're building something where once there was nothing. When you move into the divine union frequency, you are literally committing and focusing your energy on building something from where there was nothing. And in order to do that, you must have the courage to dream and to aspire and to discuss what it is that you truly seek in order to create it. So this is why the feminine energy is basically saying they're not in the job of teaching the masculine how to do this. They're looking to see if the masculine has come into the state of energetic confidence enough that they are either, again, not looking into investigating why, either that they want the same thing or that they have overcome their own anxiety and fear to be able to speak forth what it is that they energetically dream. And that is the feminine energy, again, almost coming to that point and saying, I'd rather let go of the masculine, even if there's a new energetic connection building, because better to find that out now, better to articulate and identify if that is there, rather than building an energetic connection only to find out too late that assumption that something was moving in that direction was just that. It was an assumption. It was a dream of the feminine. And the feminine basically is saying that they're out of the job of manifesting masculine energy that one day may dream about of manifesting a partnership with the feminine. This is the feminine energy basically saying, I am manifesting the masculine energy that wants what I want. And that ability to do so is reached in the point of the feminine seeing the masculine that has the confidence to be able to articulate in that way. For the masculine energy in separation, you may completely understand this. You may completely understand this if you're on your own healing journey. And if you're on your own healing journey, that desire to not only overcome your own doubts, your own fears, feels like that journey of the self, but further, you're recognizing that that is the way of reaffirming to feminine that your own commitment is that you are on the healing journey, that you do want the same things, that you are able to amplify and articulate on that. That is that moment with the masculine that, again, rubber to the road. Are you ready to apply that lesson? So we see even now that that's a lot of the masculine energy and separation moving forward in that way. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's already doing so. A lot of activation right now, a lot of deepening of energetic connections. These were energetic connections that were forged during that cycle between the Scorpio full moon and the Sagittarius full moon. Because what did we see? A lot of little skeletons can come and creeping out of closets last month. That's what we see when we experience the other's insecurities, the doubts, the fears, all of those things that we typically don't show the counterpart. These are the energies that have already shown them to each other and looked to one another and said, like, what? So what? Like, what is that? It's okay. Like, that's that moment, because that's that moment of the energy holding those wounds, holding those insecurities with a state of energetic compassion, integrating them in. And once you have that moment where you look to someone and you're able to say to them, even in your worst, I think you are the best. Like, that is the energetic commitment, because that is the energy that is now prioritizing the energetic connection, because it doesn't feel like they're deviating off their pathwork. It feels like coming together amplifies the direction that you were already energetically heading. And even if there are deviation points here, that's that moment that we see that the prioritization point is making anything that may have felt like an obstacle just that. It doesn't feel like trying to mix priorities. There's no mixed priorities when someone has the same priority. Everything else becomes the energetic obstacle. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep in the heart of the divine union, this is the amplification of the fact that a lot of this energy is looking at the other one right now and they're saying, thank you. And the other energy is going, for what? And they're just like, for being you. Thank you for creating a template of what is healed, because your ability to help me create a template of what is healed in the present is giving me context to be able to heal something that I've been carrying as a wound from long ago, because I never had this perspective before, because your ability to just be present and healed with your own self is creating the template by which I'm able to go back to past experiences and take new energetic lessons. Third card in our 5-card spread for today, sliding out of the bottom of the deck. Sliding out of the bottom of the deck. We've got here our Lovers in its upright with our Devil card in its reversal. So what do we see and that is that moment that we see even in the energy right now that is deep in the heart of the divine union. What did we see that was occurring with a lot of those past wounds that were being healed? What was a lot of the takeaway in being able to confront something that could not be confronted before? Why are those energetic burdens being lifted for the energy that is now in the work, that not only have they facilitated healing within their own self, but they're working with a counterpart that is changing their own perspective of what something harmonious feels like? That is that moment that is reaffirming that pathwork, because that is the observational point in terms of looking back to the past. What did this energy see when they look back to the past? The wound that they experienced might not have been intentionally given, but was the result of energy that was unhealed. That when we're not able to face something within ourselves, when we're not able to confront something that is difficult, that those are usually the very things that we will hurt others with in the process, which is why we see that this is so much of that pathwork that is reaffirming not only the necessity of the work in the present, but feeling that healing bomb being brought to past situations as well, because the perception of the healed energy is able to look back on something, not just from a point of vindication, but from a point of insight and compassion that allows something to be carried differently while reaffirming the commitment not to allow something that created a wound to occur again via one's own path of integrity. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the energetic equivalent of the energy right now coming into divine union, just whoop, moving way deep into the heart of the divine union frequency. A lot of energy just moving much deeper into it, because this is the energy that has the same prioritization point? What occurs in that moment when everything else around you, right, it starts feeling like it is an obstruction, when suddenly something that you were experiencing that in separation was perfectly fine, was something that was facilitating your healing, now feels like it's become an obstruction. That is that moment that, again, it's not being forced. These are energies just to feel that motivation, that shifting of priority to the other energetic counterpart. And that is that affirmation that that prioritization point is that matching moment wherein it feels like everything can be accomplished so long as you're working to facilitate the strengthening of the energetic connection, because that is the feeling of the energetic connection that doesn't create a limiting vector. It doesn't feel like it's pulling you in another direction. It feels like the connection through which anything is possible. Continuing forward on this, the energy and separation right now, this is that proof of concept. This is just straight up the energy having that proof of concept saying, do you actually want to move forward into divine union? Right? There's a lot of new energetic connections that we saw that were taking shape during that Taurus season. A lot of momentum increasing, a lot of energy starting to feel that spark taking root in seeing and experiencing something, meeting a new energetic connection, maybe even more than one, potentially feeling that similarity, not just in being able to having experienced things that were similar in the past, but taking the same energetic lesson from them, building half that bridge. That was that climb up through Taurus season. Now this Gemini season with the combination of the Sagittarius full moon saying, are you ready to activate upon what you learned? Are you ready to take that step? I can see here you're someone who has a deep sense of clarity and perspective. Your ability to assess, your ability to integrate a lesson is present. Do you have the commitment or the desire? The commitment or the desire to activate upon that lesson? Because you can know it all the way, but whether you want to take that and do that, think, act. Think, act. That ability to recognize and say, are you ready to activate upon that? That is the energetic frequency that we see that is happening in separation. And it's happening on a binary. And this is also the energy that, again, isn't trying to shake the tree to get that fruit. This is the energy saying it's there or it's not. You want it or you don't. No hard feelings if you don't. This is the feminine energy saying, if you don't want it, that's fine. It's not your responsibility to want it. You don't have to want it, but you sure as heck need to know what you want. This is the feminine energy in separation saying there's only one thing that they feel is unhealed, and a masculine right now is a masculine energy that is not able to articulate upon what they want. Because that ability, that fear, that anxiety is the unhealed moment. Regardless, and this is the feminine energy saying that moment of saying sad but true. Sad but true. You can be healed as much as you want, but if you still got fear, if you still got that fear of confidence that comes through that prevents you from being able to articulate what it is you want, you're halfway healed. You're halfway healed. If that fear, that's the feminine energy saying, look, this person can be on a healing journey. They can be introspecting all they want. If they still have the fear, if the fear is stopping them from telling me what they want, then they are only halfway healed. And that's the feminine saying, I can't heal that. There's only one person who can heal that, and that's in the heart of the masculine energy. And that's also the feminine energy saying, and that's the feminine energy recognizing that seeing that inability is either coming from one of two different vectors. It's either coming from the vector of someone who is too afraid to speak their dream, halfway healed, or someone who fears to articulate their dream, which isn't healed at all. So either way, feminine's like, sad but true. I can't ever interpret which one it is until the masculine has the ability to speak it into focus. So we see even now that is the feminine energy. And I'm telling you right now, there's some energetic connections right now. New energetic connections are forming. This will be the start or stop of something here. This is going to be the moment where something moves deeper. Something starts to move into the divine union frequency, or something is just cut off. Because this is the energy that is focusing on maintaining the energetic lesson before building the energetic connection. Masculine, you may be feeling that too. You may be feeling like a lot of the past path work that you've been experiencing has been leading up to this point, especially if there's a moment that you're building a new energetic connection with feminine, either from a place of restoration or from a place of new and energetic connections. And that's that moment that you may be seeing that that's not a feminine energy that's going to stick around to wait. That the stable feminine energy does not make waiting for a masculine to manifest what they desire, their manifestation goal. Masculine energy is recognizing that the feminine energy that is in that point of healing assumes that that will be the energetic standard. So we see even now that that ability to speak from a place of authenticity and relationality to what you desire, not only does it feel like you're doing so to be able to protect the feminine energy and show them and say, I am someone who is healing. I am someone who recognizes that my own ability to overcome my fears is how I energetically protect you from those who have poor intentions or whose manifestations do not match the categorical imperative in recognizing that they would be good for the self is good for everyone around them. Then this is also the masculine energy that is also articulating and saying, I need to overcome my own fear in order to do so, because even by doing that, that is how I express my ability to show how far I've come on my own healing journey. Fourth card in our 5-card spread is Ace of Wands in its reversal, which we love to see. And this is what we're seeing right now with the feminine. This isn't feminine saying, I'm going to go on a journey to try to figure out what the masculine energy wants. I'm going to go deep. I'm going to spend the next 2 years trying to wait to see. And maybe if the stars align, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that, masculine will be able to tell me what they want. This is the feminine energy saying it's there or it's not. It's a rock or it's a rose. It's not about the possibility of what could be in the hat. That either there's a rabbit there or there's not a rabbit. There's no point. There's no place. There's no reason for it not just to be present. And that's the feminine energy reaffirming and saying there's potentially 2 different vectors as to why the masculine energy in separation isn't able to articulate upon what it is that they're hoping to manifest going forward. Either they don't know what they want, which would be indicative of an energy that is still too caught in the past and doesn't have a focus as it relates to what they're trying to manifest, which says the feminine that will be difficult to be able to have a divine union with an energy that doesn't know what they want to manifest. Because that is the masculine. It's almost saying they don't even know if they want to be in the divine union. Or that is feminine energy that is saying that is a masculine energy that feels that hesitancy in revealing their manifestation goal, because their manifestation goal is something that is only good for them. It is not a manifestation goal that can be shared. There's a fear there because the energy is afraid of articulating what they want because they fear that I would not be willing or energetically invested in receiving it. So we see even now that that's the feminine energy saying, sad but true. It's hard to tell what the difference is, but it doesn't energetically matter. That's the feminine energy requiring that energetic tough love. The compassionate space that says, I require the masculine energy to have the courage to be able to articulate on what they want to build with me, because that is the only way that I can build forward with the masculine energy in the divine union frequency. Because that's what the energy in the divine union frequency is doing. I told you, the energy coming into the divine union. What are they doing right now? They're building something from where nothing existed. They are building something where nothing existed. And for the masculine energy in separation, there may be that feeling right now, that amplification point, particularly as it relates to an energetic connection, of saying now or never, state your business, having that ability to articulate upon what it is that you desire with the energy of the feminine. This could be the masculine energy recognizing that, again, if these are pathworks of restoration or pathworks of new energetic connections, this is the masculine energy recognizing in separation that doing so does not require the investment of saying to the feminine, I want this with you. That's not the energy that's almost articulating that they want it with them. This is the ability of doing so, of being clear about what you energetically want, that gives the feminine energy that insight that you are also ready to energetically heal, that you're not just caught in the past so much that you're holding on to a past with that inability to move forward, but that being able to overcome your own hurdle, being able to have that ability to be able to speak what you want towards the feminine, and be able to amplify it. That commitment is that moment of the masculine being on the healing journey, feeling the energetic commitment of recognizing that if this is healed masculine energy, this is the masculine energy saying, I'm good to my word. I recognize that what I say, must come from a place of truth and honesty. And the ability of me to be able to speak from a place of truth and honesty always creates the opportunity for the feminine energy to accept or reject whether they want to be in alignment with that path work. That ability to experience that ability of moving towards the feminine and recognizing that the ability of giving the feminine energy that volume of choice in relationality to what it is that you aspire for, and being able to lead forth, that is the essential commitment in articulating the desire or need to be able to build forth with feminine, because it's built in that sense of saying that that is the gift that you give the feminine, that your vulnerability in doing so allows for that possibility through which the feminine may also share their aspirations and dreams. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, we see that a lot of you are doing this energetically right now. And in fact, a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, the last month or so, being able to unpack things, having those insecurities well up, seeing those insecurities in the other, but having that energy be in a space of not, again, subjecting another to one's insecurities and fears, not having those places or spaces of feeling, taking someone else's doubts and fears personally, but almost taking that moment of integrating, holding them with a sense of space and compassion and love. This is the energy that is feeling the binding of the energetic commitment that suddenly feels like that expansion point. And now if everything around you feels like it's getting uncomfortable, it feels like it's frustrating, that's because these energies are shifting in their priorities. And the priority and focus is whatever facilitates a better energetic connection in the heart of the divine union frequency, because this is the energy that recognizes that that becomes the tie that binds through which everything feels possible, because it doesn't feel like it's pulling you off your path. It feels like it is enhancing, it is moving you in the direction that you are already going in a greater, deeper way. That's what we mean by energetic alignment. While for the energy right now, deep in the heart of the divine union frequency, that is that moment. What do we see is happening right now? This is the energy deep in the heart of the divine union frequency that's like, I just healed something from my deep past that I didn't even recognize. I got this clarity on something. I wasn't even doing anything. I was ready to confront it. I was ready to think about it. I was ready to unpack something that may have felt like it was a deep wound that I've been carrying. But it's because of where I am energetically here. It's because I feel the safety and security and the polarity of feeling that sense of energetic safety is what is propelling an ability to see something from a different context and thereby to heal it. And that's why this is the energy that's almost looking at the counterpart and they're saying thank you. And they're going, I didn't do anything. And they're going, no, you've done more than you can imagine, because simply being in your energetic presence is creating that polarity of perception that is such that I can see something through a different context. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is clarification coming through right now with our King of Cups, and it's in its upright, which we love. We love to see today. Masculine and feminine energy, again, deep in the heart of the divine union frequency. That is that moment that feels like that investment or that aspect of feeling that sense of deep energetic healing. Right? And this is what we're amplifying even now, because if these are spaces or places wherein feminine energy is healing to such a degree that they're recognizing that a lot of the wounds that they may have previously carried were a result of energy that, again, felt like they knew what was best for them, instead of having that curiosity of understanding who they were energetically. How is the feminine energy healing that right now? Potentially by having that template of what it looks like with the healed masculine energy, an energy that approaches the feminine from a place or space of curiosity, a place that tries to nourish and curate and cultivate the feminine in such a sense that it helps the feminine energy find themselves in the process. So that is the ability of the feminine that, again, looking towards the energetic counterpart, that's not doing so for the sake of the masculine energy, but that is the feminine energy feeling that sense of ability in doing so because they have the template of the healed masculine energy present by which to act as a reference point of perception on seeing something differently. While for the masculine energy, the same is so. This is the feminine energy that has healed their masculine energy to such an extent that they have that energetic resilience. They have that energetic strength. They build a space or state wherein the masculine feels the ability to be their most authentic, emotionally expressive self. And that is the masculine that doesn't have to feel like that is a weakness or vulnerability in them when they experience or express that emotionality, because they feel the security of strength of a feminine that accepts and is able to hold space to be strong when they need that moment of vulnerability. And that is how the masculine is able to look back on something with a sense of vulnerability and empathy that they might not necessarily have been able to experience in the past. Both of these serving as the energetic template of what the healed expression of the energy is, that is allowing for a deep understanding on what was not that may have created the wounds in the first place. While for masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union, this is a lot of the energy that over the last month, between this cycle of the Scorpio full moon to the Sag full moon right now, that ability of seeing, like almost seeing those moments that may have felt like those hard points, those insecurities, those fears, those doubts that take shape, having that ability to hold space for one another as you navigate those, being able to build and take those wounds and bring them into your own person as you do so. This is the energetic tie that binds, because this is the amplification of energy that's coming into the divine union that doesn't say you have to be perfect to be here. This is the energy that feels the union has formed, in the sense of saying you are perfect. I know you don't think you are, but I think you are. Because even in your flaws, I see perfection. While for masculine and feminine energy and separation, this is going to feel a little bit more energetically difficult, because this is feeling more like a lot of energy that's been building up that momentum and potentially seeing some possibility of divine union forming. Building half of that bridge, talking about the past experience. We saw here the energy in the divine unions, having had a lot of work in terms of holding on to the wounds of the past. So too has the energy in separation, but this is that moment where the rubber really meets the road, because the ability to talk about the past needs to be mitigated by an ability to express what one wants moving forward. This is feminine energy that is looking towards masculine and saying, are you ready to move forward in that way? Are you able, your discernment of the past is present and clear, but are you able to amplify and articulate what it is that you want going forward? Are you able to take those emotions, to take what you feel and speak it forward so that we can build energetically together? And we see even now that that's the feminine energy, that if they're seeing that hesitancy, if they're seeing that fear, if they're seeing that anxiety in the masculine, this is, again, I need to stress, we're not seeing feminine energy in separation right now that's looking for some kind of energetic commitment. They're looking to see if the masculine has this ability to do so. They're looking to see if the masculine has enough of that sense of emotional balance that they can speak from a point of vulnerability, because it's vulnerable to talk about the things that you dream. It's vulnerable to talk about the things that you desire. It takes a lot of vulnerability to be that strong. And so this is the feminine energy looking to the masculine and saying, are you strong enough to do this? And that's not the feminine. I have to say this. This isn't a feminine that's getting angry at the masculine if they don't see this. This isn't the feminine that's going on the energetic attack or feeling that sense of like frustration. This is even why this is the feminine saying, I can't force that spring. It's not my job to force that spring. My job is to perceive whether it's there. And so we see even now that that's a lot of the feminine energy looking towards the masculine with a point of again, a question to see if that is that moment where the masculine has come into that ability of doing so. And for masculine energy, this could be feeling like the culmination of a lot of your own path work. You may be feeling that moment of recognizing and identifying, especially if this was work where you were invested in building forth to feminine in a place of not creating a world of illusion, recognizing not wanting to build around a feminine, but building with a feminine. The way that you do that is by articulating what you dream to be able to share your dreams together. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, this is like that Sagittarius energy coming into play, which is like, are you strong enough to be vulnerable? Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to invest in that? More than anything, what we see is coming to the surface here, that need and desire of being able to speak authentically and with integrity about how you emotionally feel and what you emotionally want. Continuing to get clarification on these, and some energy right now, I'm going to say it, some energy could be moving deeper into the heart of the divine union due to these conversations. Some energy, it may lead to separation here. It may lead to some energy saying, I respect where you are. I respect your inability to articulate it. Thank you. I wish you the best. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Swords and our Lover's card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Star card in its reversal. This is hard for the feminine in separation, right? Because it's hard for the feminine in separation if they're not seeing that ability in the masculine to do so. It's hard for the feminine energy not to take it personally. But what is the feminine energy in separation doing right now to remind themselves of this? This is the feminine energy that's looking back on their past pathwork and reminding themselves and saying, if the masculine energy does not have an ability to do so, regardless as to whether they're doing it because they don't want to do it with you, or they have that fear of doing it in general, this is the feminine energy reaffirming to them their own self that the aspiration, that the ability to manifest a masculine energy that desires divine union with the feminine is the manifestation goal. This is the feminine energy reaffirming that some of the past issues or some of the past lessons that they had to potentially carry forward to this point may have been built upon the recognition that the error or what they're trying to avoid is working on manifesting a masculine energy that one day might want to manifest a deepened energetic connection with the feminine. That's the feminine energy reaffirming to themselves and saying, that is not something that that is not a homework assignment for me in seeing a masculine energy. That is the feminine energy reaffirming and saying to themselves that they are manifesting the masculine energy that is moving towards the feminine energy with intention of purpose and authenticity and the desire to build into a divine union. That's the feminine energy, again, reaffirming to themselves and saying they're not taking it personally. They're not going to navigate. They're not taking it personally if it's not there, but they're also not going to invest on the journey of trying to bring it forth in the masculine if they don't see it present, because feminine energy is still in the place of recovering from spaces or places where they entered energetic connections, making the assumption that that was what the masculine wanted without them ever energetically saying that that was the case. And that is the feminine energy that says, I am healing I do not build relationships based on assumption. I build relationships based on facts. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, this is further that enhancement, because this is, again, masculine energy. If you're feeling that sense of the feminine that is seeking that sense of clarity, this is that recognition point that if the feminine is reaching towards you in this way, this isn't the feminine energy demanding or asking for commitment from you. Rather, clarity on what it is that you truly desire. That the masculine energy recognizes that when you're building forth from a place of authenticity and integrity, there should be no question that can be left unanswered, or there should be no question that does not have an answer. So we see even now that this is a lot of the masculine energy wanting to make sure, coming over and overcoming your own doubts and your own fears, because you're recognizing that if you do not do so, the feminine energy may start to view you in the context of someone who is intentionally not trying to reveal what their manifestation goals are to the feminine. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now, a lot of this path work, a lot of this work right now is being amplified by the sense of the reaffirmation in relationality to what one's priorities are. And the only hurdle, the biggest hurdle that we've been seeing, especially over the last week, if these are situations or circumstances wherein the energetic connection has been deepening, not just in the space of seeing each other's insecurities and wounds, but almost taking that moment and making them your own. This is the energy right now that is feeling like their own priorities have shifted to such a degree that the prioritization is building forth towards that energetic union, because that's not that moment that feels like it's a limitation. It feels like that amplification through which all things are possible. And we do see to a certain extent that some of it does still bring up the doubts and the fears in both masculine and feminine as you do so, right? Because that is that amplification of care and compassion that almost feels like that sense of like what occurs when we build forth and we start to feel so much of that energetic strain in a counterpart connection. It's very common for us to feel triggered, because when we feel the expansiveness of how much something means to us, it can also create that sense of energetic fear. Even now we see that these energies are navigating through their own doubts and fears. But what are they doing right now? Are these energies that are self-sabotaging and allowing their ability to care, creating a reactive state or an insecurity? No, they're embodying it. They're just allowing themselves to feel it and saying that that's part and parcel for caring about someone. Right? When we care about someone deeply, there's always those anxieties and fears that rise up. But what is the energy doing right now? They're reaffirming their commitment to the energetic connection. And how are these energies reaffirming their commitment to the energetic connection? Because the true vibration of love is not one that is motivated by a manifestation goal. These are the energies that are almost looking at all of the possibilities. And even if something could go wrong, what are they effectively saying? What do we do when we truly want a manifestation? We're willing to release the manifestation. I would do it anyway. That when we move by the power of our intention, it's not navigated by reaching some kind of end goal. Simply the movement of moving towards something in that way is the energetic gift. So we see even now that a lot of that energy is almost saying to themselves, like, that it's not consequential, the what ifs, because what exists is what exists, and that in itself is enough. So we see even that is the propulsion point that these energies are prioritizing, because that is that moment that it doesn't feel like they're trying to move towards something to get better. They're feeling something that is perfect, and they're trying to make it more perfect. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep in the heart of the divine union frequency, that is that gift that is almost like the gift that keeps on giving, because this is the energetic equivalent. There wasn't even something here that was being facilitated or done via the energy of the counterpart. This is the energy looking at each other. If these are moments where someone's had a breakthrough about their past simply by being in the heart of the divine union, someone being like, why are you hugging me? What did I do? And them being like, you did a lot. You don't understand. You being you, us being here is helping me see things I could not see. Thank you for that, because that's that moment that these energies are working through their own insecurities, their own past wounds, their own blind spots in ways that they didn't feel like they could before. Simply by being in a space or place with an energetic counterpart that creates that sense of surety in what is true that helps them identify what was not. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Lover's card in combination with our Devil card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy. That's what I mean. Like, the funny part about some of this work right now that the energy deep in the heart of the divine union frequency is doing is, especially if these moments are happening and someone was having some kind of internal breakthrough and they're like turning to the counterpart and they're saying like, thank you. And the counterpart's doing like, I didn't do anything. That's that expression of someone being like, I know, that's my point. Like you're just being there. You're just being here. Your ability of showing me what is helping me re-understand things that I've been carrying that I may have misunderstood or misperceived. That's that lightening. That's that lightening of the energetic load that you effectively feel in being able to perceive something in a different way. Sometimes just perceiving something in a different way with a point being in the energetic center of compassion allows you to heal something. So we see even now that a lot of that energy, some of this healing, this deep-seated trauma or these deep wounds, it's the ability to see something with a new sense of energetic compassion. For feminine energy, it's energetic compassion for the self. For masculine energy, that is built upon the resilience of the masculine energy being healing within them. For the masculine, it's building that sense of energetic compassion with the feminine within you that's creating that empathy that helps you see something with that sense of compassion. Both of these energies feeling like they're going through that process of releasing something, simply in saying, I can recognize it, but I'm not holding anything heavy on it anymore. It's like it feels like that lightning because it's almost that forgiveness that comes in seeing and recognizing something that says, I still carry it, but it feels like it's not as much of a burden, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is that amplification. How are these energies navigating through their doubts, their fears, their insecurities? Are they letting those doubts and fears and insecurities overwhelm them? Are they moving all wacky, like wackadoodle, trying to mitigate them? No. They're just letting them feel them. You know, they're just integrating it. They're just going, yeah, of course. I care about someone. Those things are always going to come up. That ability to just say that affirmation and saying, it doesn't matter. Like even in that moment of saying, the way I feel is amplified, not because it needs to reach some kind of point, but because it's worth the energetic risk. This is almost the energy saying that moment of moving towards compassion, that is the trust fall that we have when we build forth towards each other. That vulnerability is almost that moment that we look, and when we see someone and we trust someone, we say that risk is always present, but you are worth that energetic risk, right? And that moment is like that falling into deepening states of vulnerability, because again, it's not that it gets easier, but through that moment of continually trusting each other, building that sense of trust, that is almost feeling like that energetic trust fall that rises up, right? You know, we fall in love, but we rise up in it as well. And that's that moment that is that trust fall that we're immediately caught in, that is the energy of the frequency of love. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, that modality in separation is that moment. And this is what's really, I have to say, this is very, a lot of bittersweetness right now for a lot of energy in separation. Because a lot of the feminine energy, I told you, this is the feminine energy addressing new energetic connections with much more of an open palm. This isn't, like I said, this isn't the feminine energy trying to see something that is not in masculine and saying, what do I have to do to generate this in them? This is the feminine energy of saying it's there or it's not. That's the feminine energy saying, I refuse to take my time, effort, and energy in trying to manifest a manifestation in the masculine. That's just the feminine going, that's bonkers. Like that's the feminine energy just going, that's bonkers. That's the feminine energy saying, why would I spend my time trying to manifest a manifestation in the masculine? Like that's the feminine energy saying, I'm manifesting the masculine energy that is authentic and articulate on what they want. And yeah, recognizing that it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to do so. So feminine saying, yeah, I'm manifesting masculine energy that is willing to do that work in overcoming their own doubts and fears to being able to be open and honest with me. And that's the feminine saying, that is not a moment of trying to create that in the masculine. That's just seeing if it's present. That's just seeing if it's present. And in that way, again, it's harder for the feminine because it creates that moment of being able to have that sense of energetic release. But again, it's that energetic release that's like, it's either there or it's not. I'm not going to hold myself accountable. I'm not going to feel bad I'm not going to blame myself. I'm not going to internalize something that is objectively happening. I'm just going to accept that it's either there or it's not. It's either a rock or a rose. I got to look at it and I got to decide what I see. And that's the feminine having that moment of saying, I'm willing to energetically release something in the process, because I'm not going to hold on to something with the hope of something turning into something that I don't see that's there. Feminine's no longer building into the world of assumption. This is just the feminine energy saying, come towards me with a place of clarity. While for masculine energy in separation right now, a lot of this work right now, masculine, because we see even now, this could be a lot of that feeling of the summation of the path work that you've experienced thus far. You may be recognizing this on your own path. You may be, if you're doing a lot of this work on healing, masculine, you may even see how you may have blocked this moving forward in this way in the past by your own anxiety or fear. Because again, what did we address yesterday that was coming forward so much with the start of that Gemini season on the cusp of that Sag full moon? That moment of recognition that when we leave ourselves open to anything, we sometimes prevent anything from occurring. That moment of looking and leaving oneself open to the robust profoundness of any experience potentially denies you the gift of being able to truly pursue something in a deepening way. A lot of this masculine energy, even in separation right now, there's a lot of this emotional maturation that we're seeing for a lot of the masculine energy in separation, that feels like that moment of identifying that desire or that ability of, again, reprioritizing what one is seeking in such a way where, again, if in the past it felt like keeping one's options open or leaving oneself open to the expansion of possibility, that may be that moment that you may be redefining and recognizing to a certain extent that your own ability to articulate on what it is that you desire is the gift that you bring forth to things. And that isn't something that someone else can articulate for you, but your own ability to have the sense of energetic courage, to be able to speak openly and honestly towards feminine through it. That allows for the ability to build an authenticity and a connection where anything is energetically possible, because that's that moment that feels like you're seeking true alignment with the feminine. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, it's like a trust fall that you're taking with yourself, because that's that moment that you're navigating your own you're healing your own self in the process. Because if there's something here, masculine, that you're saying to yourself, I'm afraid to talk to them about that, I'm afraid to tell them what I want, that's that moment that immediately says, why am I afraid? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of rejection? Recognizing that where there is no rejection, there's just that amplification as to whether there's alignment as it relates to manifestation goals. Or is there something about what I desire that I am afraid, that I myself am afraid of, and I am afraid to put it into words? In which case, again, this is that moment of navigation through which the masculine is able to understand their own self through the act of being able to energetically express something that they desire towards the feminine, right? So even now, a lot of this energy a lot of the masculine energy right now in separation, going through a lot of this journeying within the self, trying to come into that space of emotional balance through which they can have the confidence to be able to articulate what it is that they desire, in that sense of both wanting to protect the feminine by moving with integrity towards them, but also in healing one's own self in the process. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Devil card in its reversal and our Ace of Wands in its reversal. Just healing it up today. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Look at this. This is beautiful. Look at this Nine of Swords. I just glue these to the table today. Just glue them down. I like these. I like this triad. What do we got here? We've got here masculine and feminine energy that are in separation. I gotta stress, there's something about this. I need to say this right now. I gotta tell you that some of this is happening, okay? You know why? All right. Sometimes on the path that we navigate, we experience something, right? And I see what's happening here. Okay. Karma happens in two different ways. Sometimes we do something, right? Sometimes we do something and it doesn't work out the way that we want, right? And then we hold a lot of that energetic karma in terms of something that did not work, even though our intentions were in the right place and we were coming towards them from a state or place of positive intentions. And those moments sometimes arise where we feel like we have to go through something again, and we're doing it. It feels very similar to something that we experienced. But those moments where we do something in the same way and sometimes we have a different energetic outcome, that's how we release a lot of karma that we may have been carrying that was not ours to carry. Because those are those moments that the reaffirmation is the lesson of the value and importance of working with energy that is in alignment with your own manifestation goals. That is the energetic lesson that comes through in those moments. That when you do something twice, but they have different results, that is the affirmation of helping you learn the lesson that your intention was not wrong. How and who you were trying to do it with was the incorrection point. We see that a lot of that energy right now is feeling that similarity in some moments right now that feels a little re-triggering, because that is that moment that is reaffirming something that feels like you've experienced before, that deja vu, but almost that moment that is helping you remember and reaffirm one's own commitment to one's own lessons, to be able to say like, hey, pay attention, make sure you get the lesson right. So we see even now for feminine energy, that ability of looking towards masculine and feeling something that's starting to take shape in a way that feels familiar. This is why the feminine energy is saying, this feels too familiar. I'm going to make sure I'm paying attention now to make sure that I don't lose my energetic lesson. And it can feel a little disorienting when that happens, because that's that moment of anxiety. It's like, oh, something's happening again. But what is the feminine energy doing? They are reaffirming their path work by looking on the past experience and feeling that sense of clarity that is reinvesting them in their ability to lean forward into something. And it may feel like the feminine energy is almost doubling down on something right now that they may have done before, by saying, I am invested on this path, with the affirmation of knowing what it is that I'm seeking in this way. And that is the feminine energy saying, I know that this is what is right to do. Even if it leads to spaces or places that may have created separation in the past, this is the feminine energy almost saying, I recognize that in the right context and with the right person, this will yield the right result. While for masculine energy in separation, that moment is the same that is happening. It feels more triggering, and it may feel more traumatizing to the masculine, because if these were spaces and places in the past where masculine energy literally lost an energetic connection, because we saw that a lot of the masculine energy is in separation because they tried to bring honesty to something that they did not bring honesty to soon enough. There's a moment here that is almost re-triggering the masculine in this moment, because it is recalling back to those moments from the past wherein they may have had a less than positive experience, because again, the lesson that is occurring at this time is a reaffirmation of saying, well, did you do something wrong, or were you doing it with the wrong person? Right? So a little bit of that re-triggering moment is happening here. For feminine energy, that is a reinvestment in reaffirming and saying, I'm looking for the right person. The right person will bring this level or degree of honesty and clarity towards me. Masculine saying, I need to be emotionally honest. I need to be emotionally vulnerable. The right energy will not hold that against me. The right energy will accept and appreciate me for doing so. So both of these energies are feeling challenged away from the energetic lesson at this time for anxiety points of something that may have experienced in the past and the fear of something repeating. But that ability of navigating forward with a sense of saying, I can confront that fear and still do what I know is the right thing to do. I can still move with intention. That is the reaffirmation of a lot of the energy right now, which is why this energy right now is, again, I'm going to say it, doing the right thing is often not the easy thing, but that's why it's right. While for masculine and feminine energy, that is coming into divine union, this is that feeling that you have with each other all the time. And what has occurred in these moments or experiences wherein, again, You had these moments, these difficult moments over the last month, moments where insecurities came to the forefront, moments where you had to navigate places and spaces, maybe even feeling that reoccurrence of places that may have like unpacking the places and spaces where wounds may have been created in the first place. Why are these energies so affirmed in relationality to the direction that they're moving? They trust each other's judgment. They trust each other's ability. This is that moment that the energy coming into divine union almost says to one another, I can't predict. I can't predict what can occur. I can't predict what may be. But I can have faith and trust in what I know is. And that is the energy that's saying, I'm putting my faith and trust in you because I know that you do so for me. And that is that moment that feels like that sense of like that energetic expression that says like through you all things are possible because we are moving towards each other with that investment, right? And that's not something about doing something in a way that you hope for an energetic outcome. This is the energy that almost amplifies and says to one another, I would make that choice regardless of the outcome. I would always make that choice. While for the energy that is deep in the heart of the divine union, this is creating that ability of feeling that is allowing you to heal something that you may have been carrying for a long time because you're recognizing that that feeling was not energetically present in the places and spaces wherein those wounds occurred in the first place. So what is that energy doing right now? That's that moment that feels like that reaffirmation point on one's own experience that allows for breakthroughs in the past by being able to energetically see something from a point of compassion that you might not necessarily have been able to experience at the time that something occurred. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Wands in its reversal and our King of Cups. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Wands, and it's upright. You know what the energy, communication. You know what's healed? Communication is so healed. Communication is like the most healed thing possible. Communication, plans, blah, 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 blah. Like this is beautiful. It's also Sagittarius. It's a Sagittarius moon, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be a lot of talking. So, especially with like the combination of like the Gemini and the Sag energy. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Communication, planning, a lot of that. And so again, for a lot of the energy right now, deep in the heart of the divine union frequency, that ability, that modality right now is like, that's what's happening. Because what I told you, these energies right now, doing this introspection work, being able to see something from a different context, and then feeling that sense that the energy near you was the one that helped you have that breakthrough point. This is the energy that's reaffirming their own commitment to that path work by communicating upon it. Like sharing those notes to one another, sharing those insights, sharing that clarity. Like that in itself is almost that reinforcement or that re-encouragement. And for each of the energy, again, what are these energies doing right now that feels like it is supportive? That is the feminine masculine energy that again is almost the feminine just articulating to the masculine like what they've recognized within their own self, right? And that's the masculine energy, like reaffirming their own conviction in terms of what they're energetically taking from something, that perspective, right? And that is that masculine energy being emotionally vulnerable and open to be able to express those experiences to the feminine, potentially even talking about things that they haven't felt. Like if these are places or spaces where masculine was holding a lot of shame or blame, and now that they're looking at something with empathy, that allows for that outpouring or that ability to speak about something that feels in itself like that milestone, because that's the moment of the masculine saying, I don't feel shame on that anymore. I don't feel like blame on that because I recognize that was never mine to carry. So that ability to almost communicate on something more freely is the expression and expansion point right now on some of this energy feeling that breakthrough. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union right now. This is that energetic equivalent that is overcoming those obstacles, right? A lot of that energy right now, navigating anything that feels like it's standing in the way of coming into divine union. This is the energy, like things that felt perfectly normal before, now feel like they're unnecessary obstacles, because these are the energies that are so aligned in the manifestation goals and the path work. That's what we mean by alignment. It doesn't feel like it's moving them off of their paths to be in alignment with each other. They want the same things. They're moving with that sense of vitality and excitement, because this is the energy that feels like when we come into alignment, it doesn't feel, you don't feel that pulling. You don't feel that like pull and pull. It just feels like a motivational factor forward, because that's that moment that it just feels like, you know, you want the same things. You're moving in the same direction. Like that's that moment that anything outside of that direction of the manifestation just feels like something that needs to be overcome. And that's that moment that like the ability to like navigate through that. It feels like a lot of this Gemini energy with the Sag combination is allowing for a lot of that like articulation on how to better facilitate that energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is the communication point as to identifying and recognizing whether that is there. This is simply that moment. Again, this is the feminine energy looking towards masculine and amplifying and saying, it's not my job to force the spring. It's just my job to see if that's the masculine that wants the same things I want. This is the feminine energy saying it doesn't have to be that complicated. And if it's that complicated, it's probably not what I'm looking for. That's the feminine energy just basically coming into that point and being like, you either want the same things I want. It doesn't even have to be the same things, but the feminine energy is like almost looking towards masculine in separation and being like, I know what I want. Can you articulate what you want? Because this is the feminine energy saying, I need to be able to see an ability to articulate on what it is that you aspire and desire going forward. That's not, look at this. That's not an aspiration. That's a requirement. That's not a brass ring I'm going to try to jump through. That's not something I'm trying to bring out in you. I'm just looking to see if it's there. While for masculine energy, you may be feeling this right now towards the feminine. You may be recognizing it, may be feeling like those moments that you may be articulating. You may even, some of the masculine energy may be saying to the feminine, I'm sorry if you saw that there was hesitancy here, but in the past, like that was that moment that I'm overcoming like my own insecurities, because again, some of this, I'm going to tell you right now, some of this healed masculine energy is coming out of separation, is navigating situations where they tried to articulate what that was and it led to separation. So you can see why for some of the energy right now, the healed masculine, it is traumatizing or it is triggering. But also it's the masculine energy that says, I know that the lesson there was not that it was wrong to say that, because I know that lesson was one that requires me to recognize and to move with more energetic integrity, especially if there was something there wherein the feminine energy felt like they didn't know that from the start, right? That's the masculine energy that's in the healed vibration saying, I want to make sure that I'm not misunderstood as someone who is trying to mask my manifestation goals from you in order to facilitate an energetic connection, at which point it'll feel more like an energetic struggle. This is the masculine saying, I don't want to go down that road again. I don't want to facilitate that type of connection. I've experienced the pain of what occurs in those moments. I aspire to do better, but that's the masculine energy saying, I aspire to do better for my own self, right? Because that is the masculine recognizing that is affirmation of pathwork that's not built upon giving the feminine what they want, but being one's own authentic sense of self that requires them to like stand, like speak it from their chest, and to feel the confidence and stability of speaking what they want from their chest towards the feminine. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Star card in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming. Oh my goodness, look at all these cards today. Look at this. We got the Lovers out. We got the Two of Cups. We got the Devil in its reversal. Gorgeous. I'm going to glue them down, guys. I'm going to glue these down today. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. And again, this is the feminine energy just, and I have to say this is how, like, both of these energies working on aspects right now. Masculine, it's all about confidence today. It's all about courage. Feminine, it's about, again, feminine is not internalizing this. This is the feminine energy going through that moment of saying, what if it's me? What if the reason, like, if there's, is it me? Is it me? And this is the feminine energy going, no, it's not me. It's not me. This is the feminine energy that's reaffirming that the masculine's ability to be articulate on what it is that they desire. It's not, like, that's the feminine energy saying, it's not my job to force that spring. It's not my job to generate that in the masculine. This is the feminine energy reaffirming and saying, my ability to perceive if it's there does not require me. Even now, the feminine energy is going, but what if the feminine is going, no. The feminine energy is doubting themselves in these moments, but this is the feminine energy reminding themselves and saying, I cannot build upon the assumption that maybe if I give someone a bit more energetic time, they'll decide that they want a manifestation goal, because this is the feminine energy remembering and saying the masculine energy should be manifesting this, not looking for someone. This is the feminine energy saying the masculine energy that is aspiring for the manifestation isn't looking towards the, like, this is the feminine energy saying it's not about me. It's about seeing whether a masculine energy is just looking for someone to keep energetic company with them versus having the aspiration of building something forward. And this is the feminine energy saying, I'm not energetic company for a masculine. This is the feminine energy saying that the energy that does not look towards me being company for the masculine on their own personal journey is evident in masculine energy that is able to articulate and say, I am looking for an energetic connection. I am looking for an energetic counterpart through which to build with. And this is simply the feminine energy recognizing that some masculine energy doesn't desire it. Some masculine energy doesn't desire it. They don't require it. And that's the feminine energy saying, when I don't see it there, I can't feel like I need to be the magical person to generate that in the masculine. I just need to recognize if it's there. I just need to recognize if it's there. But even here, we see that that's hard for the feminine because there's a feminine energy. Even as the feminine energy goes through that, there's a moment of the feminine saying, but maybe if it was the right person, they would. And this is the feminine going, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Because that's the feminine energy saying, no, that doesn't change. That doesn't change dependent on the person. That changes dependent upon one person, and that's the person that's ready to invest in building a connection from that way, right? Because you can't change if you're not perceiving relationships in this way. Then there's nothing you can do once you enter a relationship with someone to get them to change their perspective on this. In fact, all you've done is affirm to them that that is the correct perspective if you move into partnership without requiring that sense of energetic commitment. You're effectively condoning, you're effectively saying, I am here for it. So we see even now that for a lot of the feminine energy working through that, that feels very difficult because that's the feminine energy that almost feels like that need of having to say, I don't want to be with a masculine under any condition. This is the feminine energy saying, I would like to be with this person, but this is the condition through which the partnership must take shape. And so that's the feminine energy that's working through that internal process of not internalizing something that happened externally. The same work you just saw that the energy in the divine union was doing, remember? While for masculine energy, this is that moment as well. Masculine energy, if these are spaces or places wherein you feel like you never really had a good energetic connection with feminine, like that moment of being like, well, did I not have an energetic connection with feminine because I didn't create the opportunity to do so? If what we're like, this is the masculine looking and going, if I haven't had a good energetic connection with feminine, is this because I kept trying to build around feminine? Is this because I was looking at feminine more as a prize, as instead of a counterpart? So again, this is the masculine energy. A lot of this masculine energy and separation, either reaffirming their own priority in terms of the type of relationship that they want with feminine. Saying like, why would I limit myself to just having someone that I'm building around instead of the opportunity of building with, right? And this is also masculine energy, that if they feel like this, if you're moving in this moment, this feels, if you're already in that modality, you're saying to yourself like, I need to have the courage to do so. That requires a trust fall. It requires me being vulnerable to the feminine about what I want. And that is that masculine saying, I need to do that, not just for the sake of being able, like that is what is required to facilitate a connection of that capacity, but also because when I don't do so, the feminine fears me. When I don't do so, when I'm not open and authentic about what I want, the feminine questions my integrity, because fear makes energy question one's own authenticity and integrity. While masculine and feminine energy, so this is again a lot of energy that may be moving deeper into commitment right now, or energy that is potentially separating because they don't see the courage that is required to be able to facilitate a connection of that magnitude. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's felt like you found that. Like this is the energy that, again, those doubts and those fears, those anxieties that rise up, the masculine having that overprotectedness, the feminine questioning their own self and what they're feeling. Both of these energies, like shrugging them off, just going, whoo, right? Just going, that's part and parcel. The job isn't to get rid of those. The job is to do it anyway, right? Like, because again, when we move in love, we don't do it for the sake, we do it with the trust in the other and saying, I know that person. I trust that person. And that sense, that's not that trust fall that says, I guess I'll just hope for the best. That's the energy. It says, I've built a sense of trust with someone. I've seen who that person is. I've seen their insecurities. And that's that moment of saying, I'm willing to put my trust in you, recognizing that we do the best that we can with that. And that's that moment that says, even in your insecurities, even in your doubts and fears, even in those moments, I trust your judgment. Right? That's that. Again, that's not the fall in love. That's the trust fall in love. It's not a fall in love. It is a trust fall into love. And we don't trust fall into love with energy that we do not trust. We trust fall because we know energetically, we feel that sense, we build that experience of saying, I've learned, everything I see makes me feel confident that you will be there to catch me, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep in the heart of the divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now is a lot of the work in relationality to being able to feel that lightening of experiences from the past due to the energetic connection. And for a lot of that, that is now motivating the energy of the feminine and masculine, perceiving other experiences, when looking almost at the past version of self as the version of self that did not know themselves because they weren't in that modality of feeling the strength of the energetic counterpart that doesn't create strength in them, but makes them feel energetically stronger. Continuing the clarification between our Ace of Wands in its reversal and our Ten of Swords in its reversal. We love all these reverse, really liking these reverse swords today. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. This is not surprising to see because what did we identify was occurring in relationality to a lot of this work right now? The only problem with this work for the energy deep in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is not done. Because if this is something that occurred like way in the past that you're having that new point of perception on, now you got to look at all the stuff between then and there, because now, like, what happens when you're able to look at something with a different perspective and you're able to heal it? You go, oh geez, that means my perspective was off the whole time, right? That's like the guys laughing, going, yeah, the whole time. You got to go back. You got to look back in the book. You got to go back. You got to look back now and all that stuff with that sense of clarity. Because that means that if you're seeing something from a different perspective now, you're recognizing your perspective then was flawed, right? And that's not that moment of looking back. Like, that is a moment where it feels like hindsight is 2020, and then you have to look back and say to oneself, oh, I need to reorient on a lot of things that I may have experienced with that context or that perception. So that's a gift in this context. Well, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is that moment I told you. Isn't it funny how like everything was perfectly fine around you? Everything was like hunky-dory. But now that you're in the divine union frequency, things that feel like they were navigable feel like they are the obstructions. So this is a lot of the tangible space that's becoming obstructive to the energetic connection. But what is the energy doing right now? They're reorganizing their plans and making those modifications because the priority is maintaining the energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, I gotta say, there's either energy right now where something is moving into a deepening of a connection or a commitment, or there's some commitments that are potentially ending right now. It's gonna be one or the other. It's either gonna be that moment where, again, we see that energy that's willing to take that trust fall, that's willing to have that point of articulating on what it is that they desire going forward, or the energy that asks that question, doesn't receive the answer, and says, I can't go through that. Look, I can't go through that again. I can't go through that again. That is the energy of the feminine, almost, because I told you what's happening right now is these energies are being called to task on the lessons that were being closed out in the last karmic cycle. Masculine, that ability of saying, can I do it again? Can I do the thing that I did that may have led to separation in the past? Can I do it again? But recognize that the failure point was not necessarily in being authentic and moving with integrity, but potentially with someone who wasn't energetically ready. Can I do it again? Can I hold that integrity? While for feminine, this is the feminine energy. If these were spaces and places wherein they felt like they assumed something from the masculine that wasn't present, this is the feminine energy going, I can't do that again. I will never do that again. I will never build into a partnership based on assumption. I need the masculine energy to be articulate about what it is that they truly want. Do you see how these energies right now are on the brink of breakthroughs or endings? And it all requires them holding on to their energetic lessons and moving forward with intention, having that trust fall. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our 10 of Swords in its reversal and our 2 of Wands. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the High Priestess in its reversal. So again, this is the feminine energy, having a lot of those doubts coming up, having a lot of those fears, having that moment of uncertainty. But what is the feminine energy in separation reminding themselves of? This is the feminine energy almost saying to themselves, but what if I can tell, like, this is the feminine energy going, but what if I can tell that they really want this with me, but they're just afraid to say it? What if I can feel it? What if I know it's the feminine energy is going, yeah. That's the feminine energy going, yeah. That's the feminine energy going, yeah. That's the feminine energy going, yeah, you know what? I can. But if they can't manifest it into the tangible space, that is the feminine energy saying, I can see the ability of seeing what someone can be. I can see the highest version of self there. I can connect to the possibility of what could happen if this person can find themselves. But I cannot bring that forth. I cannot lead by assumption of cultivating or bringing it out of it. I am working. This is the feminine energy saying, I don't exist in the etheric space. I exist in the space of the tangibles. This is the feminine energy saying, I exist in the space of the tangibles. And that is not the moment of the feminine doubting their intuition. That's the feminine energy going, I think I know what's going on with them. But even knowing doesn't change the fact that they need to be able to do this. This is the feminine energy being like, I can read this person like a book. I can know that, like, what's going on in the headspace. This is the feminine almost looking at the masculine, like, I know they're struggling with this. I know that there's fear, but that's the feminine energy going, yeah, because I'm connecting with that divine masculine. They could be like that forever. They could always be like that. We could always be in this modality that would require me to be a mind reader or to assume something that isn't there. And this is the feminine energy going, I am not building an energetic connection off of the potentiality or off of the spirituality connection of the connection to the masculine, or knowing, like having that intuition. This is the feminine saying, this is even the feminine going, I know it's there, but it doesn't matter. Right? This is the feminine energy going, me being in a partnership should not require me to become a mind reader. This is the feminine energy saying this needs to express itself, and that is something that is being, that masculine must bring forth. And that is the masculine almost looking to feminine too. If this is masculine, recognizing this, saying again, that ability to trust the feminine, this could be those moments or opportunities in the past wherein masculine has experienced feminine that was not strong enough to navigate the truth of the masculine, right? This is a lot of masculine energy healing from unhealed feminine that said that they wanted something or they were ready for something, but then they weren't truly ready for the masculine's truth. Do you see how both of these energies are feeling tested in pursuing forward into their integrity because of experiences from the past that weren't necessarily them moving in the wrong direction, but potentially with the unhealed energy? We don't lower our expectations assuming the worst in one another. We raise our expectations in assuming the best. So these are these energies that are in separation right now, challenging themselves and saying, I'm going to do this anyway, because this isn't something about trying to generate an outcome in another. This is about moving with intentionality and purpose as to who and to what I want to align to. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that it feels like they've effectively found that in one another. This is the energetic equivalent of recognizing and identifying and saying, like this is, if this is masculine energy that has that moment of feeling like they found the energetic counterpart of the feminine that is able to navigate their insecurities and truth while also being energetically resilient. This is the masculine that feels like they're reaffirming their commitment, because this is the masculine saying, like, I've energetically found what I'm looking for. Like that's that moment, that's like that energy of the masculine saying, this doesn't feel like a separation point, this feels like perfect alignment. And if this is feminine energy that feels like they can be their authentic version of self, even when they doubt themselves, and that is the masculine that is always there to affirm them, always there to re-amplify them, always there to lift them up. Both of these energies, again, this doesn't feel like, even in those moments of doubt, this is why these energies cling to one another and move towards each other, because it is the amplification of becoming their best version of self via the connection with the counterpart. And that's not coming from a place of leaning on one another, but feeling like you are experiencing that enhancement in becoming your best version of self simply by being with one another. So I see even now these paths, the reason that they're moving so closely together is because they feel like even if they don't move in the same way, they feel like they are merged or in alignment in relationality to what they hold on to. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep in the heart of the divine union, this is the energy that is healing from the unhealed energy that created some of these wounds in the first place. And the ability to be in the presence of counterpart energy that's healed has changed the perspective enough that something that you experience, you're no longer holding accountability to, because you can see the energetic pain of the person that caused the wounds in the first place. That is thereby building the affirmation in continuing forward on your own healing journey by not allowing oneself to fall into that space of fear or doubt, anxiety that may have created those wounds in the first place. That's the energy of the healer that will affect in the healing journey that basically says, it stops here. Never again. I choose to do better. And I recognize why the wounds that were carried, I don't hold bitterness towards them. I hold understanding on how. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Cups in combination with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Queen of Pentacles. Now, masculine and feminine energy deep in the heart of divine union frequency. The only hurdle about this, I need to stress, is for the feminine energy, that ability of seeing masculine energy that's healed. It's difficult, right? because we see even now that that's the feminine energy that wants to have that expansion point in seeing other masculine energy that's healed in the same capacity. But the difficulty with some of the pathwork of the feminine with this right now is feminine recognizes that at times it is energetically hard to tell the difference between healed masculine energy and unhealed masculine energy. It's simply that. It's that energetically difficult. That is a lot of the hurdle that the feminine energy needs to experience. It can be very difficult to discern the difference because it requires an ability of truly getting to know a masculine, to understand like that, like there's like it's not something that is immediately apparent. So we see even now that for a lot of the feminine energy, that ability of doing so, like that reaffirmation becomes that point of building confidence in their own self to a certain degree. What is the feminine energy doing at those moments? They're amplifying. That is also that work with the energetic counterpart, because that is that moment with the feminine. What happens? What is helpful for feminine energy that has a hard time being recognizing that it is sometimes hard to energetically see the difference between the healed and the unhealed masculine energy? Well, it's a little helpful if you got the counterpart of a healed masculine energy around you to help you with that, isn't it? And again, that's that moment of the feminine building that sense of the true mirror. And it's the same with the masculine. That's the masculine sometimes having a hard time recognizing the ability to see whether there's healing around the feminine. What is the masculine doing? They're working with each other as clear mirrors. They're working towards one another to navigate forward in that way of questioning and looking at things that helps recognize what one cannot see, the blind spots. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of that work, that sense of building forward, I need to stress this again, these aren't places or spaces wherein masculine and feminine energy need one another. They're not leaning on one another, right? They are facilitating, and they feel that enhancement because where one is weak, the other is strong. These are energies that appreciate one another because these are not spaces or places that are asking each other to be energetically perfect. These are places or spaces that they experience that feel that moment of, again, holding space for one's most, even in your places that you feel you are unstable, the energy is acting as a clear mirror and saying, I don't see anything there that is a problem. I don't see anything, but these energies hold themselves to a higher standard, right? And in a way that energy of the partnership helps recognize where they're being too harsh on themselves. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, this is simply one of those moments that, again, and this is a little bit harder for the feminine. I got to be honest right now, for some of the feminine energy, this is really difficult work because this is feminine energy that's starting to feel potentially like something new that is generating between them and a masculine energy. And this is that feminine energy that's almost saying to themselves, like, what if I'm asking for something too quickly? What if I'm trying to let go too quickly? But this is also the feminine energy that's reminding themselves and saying, this is some of that previous path work of saying, this is what I may have said to myself in the past. That's the road that I started to go down in the past of saying, maybe if I just give them a little bit. No, this is the feminine saying, no time should be necessary in understanding an energetic intentionality. Energy that is moving with intention will be able to articulate on an intention at any moment, right? So we see even now that is the energetic equivalent of the feminine saying to themselves, if I have the ability to do so, then so should the counterpart. And if the feminine can't do that, if the feminine can't articulate on what they want, then that's the feminine also recognizing and saying, I better know what I want, especially if I'm going to ask someone else what they want. So both of these energies, even in separation, continuing forward on their healing journey. For masculine, this is more difficult because this could be a lot of the masculine energy that was healed that felt like if these were places or spaces where their authenticity led to some like broken, severed connection, this is the masculine energy reaffirming and saying the issue in the past, if that authenticity came into play, wasn't the fact that the authenticity was present. It had to do with the timing. It had to do with whether it was there from the start. And that's why even now that like a lot of the masculine energy that's healing is saying, if I want to build something with feminine, I need to be articulate and honest about what that is from the start, because that is also masculine being reaffirmed on their own energetic lesson that may have not necessarily, the wrongness or the incorrection point might not necessarily have been from leading from a place of authenticity, but not doing it from the start, right? So both of these energies are being very, very heavily challenged right now in relationality to navigating the lessons that were experienced in those past separation cycles. Continuing to get clarity on these right now between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal and our High Priestess in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification with our Four of Wands in its upright. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is it. This is that turning point. A lot of this energy was building connection, talking about past experiences. This is now that like going to, like this is the other side of the hill. This is saying like, are you able to talk about what you want? You have to be able to talk about what you want. You have to be able to put into words. And this is even the energy of the feminine reaffirming and saying it's not asking for that from the energy of the counterpart. This is feminine reminding themselves and saying the ability of someone to talk about what they aspire and desire going forward is not an energetic commitment to me. That's the feminine energy almost amplifying and saying, I am asking that from the point of understanding what it is. So we see even now that both of these energies are reaffirming that moment of saying the ability to talk towards something doesn't necessarily need to navigate or mitigate the feeling of having that sense of commitment to one another, especially if these are new connections, but an ability to talk about one's hopes, one's dreams, one's aspirations for where something could go or what something aspires. That is how the feminine energy navigates between energy of masculine that's just looking for company because they're very happy with where they are. They would just like a little energetic company, versus masculine energy that truly wants to build forward with feminine, that has aspirations, that has dreams, that has desires, and is putting that work in to be able to articulate on them. And this is the feminine energy that recognizes and says, when the masculine isn't able to build forth on this, I can't tell if they're too afraid to do so or if they're just looking for energetic company. But that's why the feminine energy goes, it's too great a risk to assume one if there's the possibility of the other. There's simply too great a risk. It's too great of a risk. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk, is what the energy of the feminine is saying. It needs to be present. Even if the feminine feels like maybe it is fear that is holding the masculine back and not just a desire for some energetic company. Well, for masculine energy right now, this is that moment of recognizing and saying, this is a feminine energy that potentially fears that I'm just keeping them around for energetic company. This is the masculine. If this is healed masculine energy, this is recognizing this. And this is the masculine energy coming towards the feminine and saying, my ability to affirm and to articulate what it is I want with the feminine, that is me effectively coming into my own sense of energetic bravery, while also recognizing and identifying that doing so protects the feminine energy from the energy of the masculine that tries to build forth with them, building into a place of not honoring the feminine by just trying to navigate around them and building a space of illusion when all they're truly seeking is some energetic company. So this is the masculine energy saying, I do not want to be misunderstood. I do not want my fear to create the space or place in the feminine of me appearing to be the thing that they fear. Continuing to get clarification, well, for masculine and feminine energy right now, final card for today's spread between our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal and our Four of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Pentacles. Got to be there. It's got to be present. It's not about what you energetically feel. It's just what it can be. Everything can be very easy. Everything can be very easy. Just mean what you say and say what you mean. Mean what you say and say what you mean. And that's the feminine energy that's almost amplifying. And this is the feminine energy holding to their manifestation goal. This is the feminine energy saying it's hard for the feminine to do this. It's hard for the feminine to talk about what they hope and aspire. And this is the feminine energy saying, you know what? If I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, if I can go to the trouble of risking like feeling a little unstable and articulating what it is I want by sharing my manifestation goals, so can you. That's literally the feminine energy. This isn't, I got to say this, I'm going to say it again. This isn't the feminine energy matching energy. This is feminine energy holding the energetic standard. This is the difference between matching energy, being like, they're doing this, I'm going to do that too, versus energy saying, if I can do it, I require you to be able to do it too, or I will depart. That is the difference between matching energy and holding someone to your own energetic standard. Masculine energy, you're recognizing that the feminine energy that knows what they want is not going to match your energy. They're not going to shift away from their manifestation goal. That if you are moving in that space or place where you're not able to articulate on what it is that you want, it's fine, but you're potentially not building forth with a feminine energy. Like you may be recognizing that there's some energy of the feminine that's just not going to be available towards you in the process, because that's a feminine energy that does not want to be made unstable by building a connection with a masculine that isn't clear on what it is that they want, or isn't moving towards feminine with clarity, intentionality, and authenticity. That is just the energy of the masculine saying, I recognize that my ability to, and this is almost potentially masculine recognizing this, if there has been instability in your past experience, you may be connecting the dots that this might be why as well. If you weren't leading forth towards the feminine in this way, this could be moving towards the feminine that was more accommodating of that type of vibration. So we see even now that this is why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy, this is feeling like your own prioritization is shifting, especially if these were spaces and places wherein you may have felt like you were giving yourself the best possible outcome by leaving yourself open to every possibility or potentiality. You may be recognizing that that might not necessarily have been the case. And even see here, we see that there's a lot of masculine energy in separation whose priorities are shifting and saying, rather than leaving all of one's options open, why not build a connection, and then not maintaining a strong connection with someone, why not build a connection with the feminine through which all things are possible? So we see even now that that's a lot of the masculine energy in separation. There's a lot of internalized pathwork right now, because a lot of this energy for the masculine in separation is almost that question that's being returned to you, looking in the mirror and saying to yourself, what is it that I want? Continuing forward for energy that's coming into divine union, this is the energy that knows what they want. I told you, this is the energy that is building something from nothing, because the ability to articulate on what you want is how you do so. And this is the energy that even when they have those moments of insecurity, of doubt and fear, this is the amplification of saying that the ability to overcome that has to do not with that sense of recognizing or identifying that there aren't those energetic risks. Whenever we move towards someone from a state of prioritizing another person, there are always those energetic risks. But those are the energies that basically say that ability of doing so, like that is the energetic gift that you give another, right? That is the energetic gift that you're giving the other by saying, if I have to take that risk, I would choose to be, you would be the person I would choose to do that with. And I would choose that again and again and again, because that is the energy that says, like, what is this energy doing? That is the trust fall in saying, whenever I'm weak, I know I've seen examples. You've shown me that you can be strong. And that's almost the feminine and masculine energy saying that to such an extent of saying, I have seen it. I have seen it in the way that you are. It doesn't need to be articulated. It is self-evident in as to how you are, to how you move, who you are. Because these are energies that are finding each other in alignment. They're not changing each other to become that. They're encountering each other on the way. And that is that amplification of feeling something that doesn't take you away from your path. It firms it. It makes it stable. It brings even more stability to it because you're already moving in that energetic direction. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep in the heart of the divine union, This is the energy that is reaffirming their own commitment to their personal journey by experiencing and continuing to face the parts of themselves that are hard to face. Because a lot of this work that we just saw was a result of navigating something that you may have felt like in the past, in separation, you weren't ready to do. But that ability to be in the energetic presence of the counterpart helps you perceive something in a different way that allows you to take some valuable lesson from experiences from the past. And this is a lot of that energy committing to continuing to do so on that journey. Bottom of the deck for today's reading, Hierophant in its reversal. This card keeps popping up in its reversal. You know, I feel like there's a lot of changes of perspective that are happening right now. A lot of some things feeling like they're getting flipped on their head. Like looking at something and recognizing it and seeing it from a different perspective sometimes gives you all the clarity that you need on something. And so this is not uncommon, especially because we see that a lot of the energy deep in the heart of the divine union frequency right now is looking back on past experiences with a sense of heightened clarity, almost looking and saying, I took the wrong lesson from that experience, right? And this is almost opening the possibility of saying, what wrong lesson did I take in some of that past path work of the self that I need to articulate and identify going forward? So that ability of navigating that place or space with a sense of curiosity, like that is something that is really fundamental here, because it feels like even now it may feel a little, it almost creates that uncertainty and being like, what else did I see with that faulty perspective? While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, that's that moment. The funny thing where a lot of the energy right now that is coming into divine union is the energetic commitment that you feel between each other is something that is just in the ether space. You feel it between each other, but you haven't navigated the tangibles yet. So this is the energy that feels like they need to go to all the trouble of doing all of the tangibles. It's not like those tangibles create the commitment. They almost feel like there's some of the hurdles that need to be encountered along the way, because what you feel between each other is already present. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, a lot of this work has to do with the acceptance point of recognizing that you can't assume that someone wants commitment. We're in that modality now where you need to amplify and say to someone, what is it that you actually want? What does the commitment look like? What do you think commitment is? Because there could be a moment right now, there's a lot of observations here that what one person thinks of as commitment and what another person thinks of as commitment are very different things. So we see even now, there's a lot of that energetic equivalent saying, I'm not leading anything to assumption. I'm not going to assume we want the same things. I want to hear you say what you want to make sure that we are in alignment. You can't just assume it. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and sharing in these readings. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, it is you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it's a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember, this is my only account, and I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of announcements. First and foremost, we have got a giveaway. We are giving away not one, but 2 free 15-minute readings. All you need to do to become a part of that giveaway is if you go to the link in my bio, there is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that survey will grant you 1 entry into that giveaway. But if you've already filled out the survey, then when I pull the winner, I'm going to ask whoever won who referred them to the survey. So if you can send that survey to some friends that you think might be interested in some tarot-oriented retreats, then every person that fills out that survey is another entry for you in that giveaway. So thank you to everyone who's already taken that survey. As you know, I'm looking about doing some destination-based trips that I'm really excited to offer you guys, but I'd love to get your feedback in the process. So thank you in advance, and I wish you the best of luck on that contest. Second of all, thank you to everybody who participated in our class last week. We had a fantastic time going through the Magician's Journey. Our next class will be on Wednesday, May 16th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. And the next card we are going to be focusing our studies on will be the High Priestess. All you need to do to become a part of those classes is become a paid subscriber to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your subscription will grant you access to the live class as well as the recordings and course materials for all of the previous classes. Also, you will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me where you can ask any questions in relation to anything that we are studying. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only do you get a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you also receive a one-on-one mentorship reading with me where we will assess where you are in your own tarot and spiritual journey. I'll give you some insights on how to utilize the classes and your practices to the best of your advantage going forward. One thing about these classes is I really tried to build them in such a way that they are useful to both the brand new novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's a bit of something there for everyone. So thank you to everyone who's already participating, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay abreast on any new updates, any new classes or offerings that we may be providing, and also to receive our weekly newsletter. Finally, I have 2 new offerings that I'm very excited to let you guys know about. First of all, I'm now offering mentorship classes. Those are on a very limited amount of students that I'll be taking on, as those are individual customized classes that specify and are focused on whatever area or topic around the tarot or spirituality that you're interested in exploring and investigating. Those classes can either be purchased on an individual level, or you can purchase a monthly package, which is 4 45-minute classes at a discount. Also, for those clients that are looking for more weekly sustainable support on your own journey, I'm now offering weekly tarot insight classes. That's a package of four tarot readings, 30 minutes apiece at a discounted rate, so that you can have more of that consistent support on your own spiritual journey. Again, one of the reasons I've been offering these is due to a lot of recommendations from my clients. I want to thank you guys so much for those options. I am always open to new possibilities in relationality to what might be able to better assist you. So thank you guys so much to everyone who's already signed up, and I look forward to potentially working with you in the future. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other, and we will do this again